After finishing Super Eyepatch's fake psychic series, I was recommended to check out the fake martial arts series because it was the same thing, but worse. I'm not doing that because I literally don't think I could maintain any illusion of sanity if I did that to myself so close to that last pile of rage bait, I think is the correct term here. So instead, we're going to be checking out something that was recommended that was lighthearted and silly and comical and generally just heartwarming. This is going to be part of the professional wrestling series Super Eyepatch Wolf did. This is Professional Wrestling is Stupid and Beautiful, and I love it. I don't know anything about professional wrestling other than The Rock was one. That's something. That's all I got. Otherwise, I'm just going to jump in, see what happened, and hope to God it doesn't follow the pattern of that last couple videos of his I've seen. Oh, I really hope not. Deep inhale.
Okay, I'm guessing right about now, a lot of you are wondering why the hell a video about wrestling is showing up in your subscription feed. And
wait, people actually had subscription feeds they checked? 5 years ago? Yeah, okay, never mind. That makes a lot more sense.
I get it, wrestling is totally not for everybody, but it's also
Is that
April
a
1st, which means your
chicken?
timeline is probably
I don't
filled
actually know.
with April Fool's Day videos.
Oh,
And rather than add another to the
wait, he did this on April 1st? That would make it a lot more funny, actually. Also, I've seen pictures of this guy, and I have no idea what the hell he is. I thought he was like the extra for like Lurch or something.
pile, I thought I'd take this opportunity and do something a little different, and talk about a form of entertainment I've loved for basically my entire life. And if you hate professional wrestling, if you're wondering why I would
Give him the
debase
chair.
myself
Oh, actually, I
covering
think that's
such
The
a
Rock.
ridiculous subject clearly aimed at children, well, first off, I have some bad news for you about the rest of this channel, and
Aimed at children. I need to hear that again. People actually...
well, first off, a ridiculous subject clearly aimed at children. Well, first off, I have some bad
The impact of Dragon Ball Z. Huh. 1, I didn't know he did that video. 2, I haven't got to his old catalog apparently, and I need to check that out.
news for you about the rest of this channel, and
Also, 5 years ago, ridiculous stuff aimed at children. And then he did Fear and Hunger, and the fake psychics videos, and Garfield. So this went from, hey guys, here's some fun stuff, to, hey guys, here's some stuff that you're never going to unsee for the rest of your lives. Oh god, I just described puberty, didn't I? Huh.
And second, you are actually the person I'm making this video for. My goal here isn't to turn you into a wrestling fan, just to try and help you understand
I know
why so
nothing about
many
this, so I'm actually
people are.
curious.
And understanding the world around us is a good thing, right? Even the parts of it that seem really dumb and insane, right? Right.
Is that a training dummy on him? He's actually just backflipping? That's actually incredibly impressive. Why is he in a diaper? Okay, it's that kind of event. Wait, never mind. This is Japan? Yeah, no, their stuff gets crazy. This actually doesn't even make the top 10.
Okay, elephant in the room, wrestling is
Hogan,
fake.
even I know him.
And no, not even the way
Dude.
Game of Thrones is fake. Professional wrestling is a pretend sport masquerading as a real one.
Unlike Game of Thrones, which was a pretend show masquerading as if it had an ending. It's too bad it got up to season 6 and stopped. It's a shame. I know we never got it. And one of these days, maybe they'll just go back and show us exactly how it should have ended. Maybe after the books end. I know it's going to be a long time because Martin has mentioned he writes on it still, and it got too big and he had to split it in half again. I'm not sure if I dreamed that or not, or if it actually happened once already. I'm just remembering a previous time where he already did it. It could go either way, and it might have also been the 4th time, and I just missed it because I was just intentionally ignoring it. Yeah.
These two women are not actually fighting, these two men do not actually hate each other, and this is not an actual evil voodoo priest named Papa Shango. It's
I'm
Charles
disappointed about
Wright,
that.
who's also played the role of a salty martial artist and a jovial pimp. And he, alongside
He played a role of a pimp in a... Okay, wow, I was unaware.
entire industry of his fellow wrestlers all work together as a highly choreographed physical theater, the goal of which is to convince the audience that what they are seeing is an actual competitive event.
You know, when you take in the effect that it's not actually fighting, the movements they're doing are actually really impressive just to do that
which is
without
to
killing
convince
yourself.
The audience that what they are seeing is an actual competitive event.
Oh God, I just realized this is basically American interpretive dance. It's a highly produced, choreographed, physical entertainment medium of people with incredibly precise skills telling a story on a stage before a live audience. Oh God. I have no idea how to process this, and I have no idea if I'm going to think about it. I'm just going to assume the video was going to prove me wrong here. Let's just forget I ever said anything about this.
This is the sticking point with a lot of people in wrestling. The idea that it's fake and not a legitimate sport.
That still
just
looks ridiculous.
Valuing it as a piece of entertainment. But to me, wrestling isn't devalued by the fact that it's fake, rather it's fascinating because of it. And through this, in a very strange way that I'm going to explain by the end of this
over
video,
the top, but it's
can
intentionally
also be
so.
more real than virtually anything else on television.
Oh God, his eyes,
The
wow.
revelation that wrestling is fake is not a new one, not by a
Dude, if you want to see something intense,
else on television.
just say yes. What?
The revelation that
This
wrestling
is
fake
intense.
not
I don't
a
care
new
what you
one,
do, just
not by
slow
a
walk with
long
torches.
shot. It was in 1938 that North American newspapers stopped reporting the results of pro wrestling because at that point, journalists had become wise to the idea that the results of these matches were predetermined. Up until this point, wrestling had mainly been a sideshow at carnivals, but that changed when wrestling bookers learned two things. The first was that the sport was a lot more profitable for them if they could decide the outcome.
Okay, one, that's called sports fixing, and two, this was started as an actual thing, but in the 30s, it became a joke. But then it became so much of a joke that it became intentionally good entertainment. You know, not a lot of things that come from the 30s turned out okay, and this is kind of weird. I think that's where this is going.
But second, it was also a lot more entertaining for the audience. As rather than the
Which is
matches
the
being just
reason
a
it's good.
pure contest of strength and skill, where the winner could have all the potential charisma and charm of a bag of wet chalk, they could instead engage the crowd with heroes and villains and create rivalries and storylines around them.
As opposed to MMA, where everyone's an asshole, and that's basically all it goes. Also, the fights the last 30 seconds. Yeah. You almost need showmanship at that point. Hear me out. What if they did MMA, but the professional wrestling version of MMA, where it's over the top, but martial artists going crazy? That's probably what the fake martial artist video is. Let's not go there. That might go to depressing places really fast.
Which would keep the audience coming back week after week. This would also skyrocket wrestling's popularity in the early days of television, turning what had started as a carny show into a national obsession. Which also meant that now maintaining the illusion that wrestling was real was more critical than ever.
Wait, they actually maintained the illusion that it was real? See, I'm used to the idea of it's so over the top and it's so insane that nobody thinks it's real. You just enjoy the spectacle of it like you enjoy any other TV show. Oddly enough, it's probably one of the early forms of entertainment, kind of like vaudeville, that survived radio and TV and actually thrived on it in the same way that other sports did because it's live. But this one being extremely fake, but also fun because of it, as opposed to other sports that definitely have never been fixed. And I would never say that. There's no prize fixing in certain sports out there that involve balls and field goals. There's nothing like that at all.
And this is what led to the implementation of kayfabe.
What?
Kayfabe was originally a code word wrestlers used to signal to each other that there were fans or outsiders nearby, and so the illusion of wrestling would need to be maintained. But in a much broader sense, it's a term used to refer to the portrayal of stage events as real, and specifically of wrestling as a legitimate contest, and wrestling personas as actual people and real competitive athletes, meaning that wrestlers were expected to play their fictional wrestling personas whenever they were out in public. And
Seriously?
so heroic wrestlers known as faces were expected to be friendly and kind to their fans.
And that makes sense because John Cena's entire thing is being really the good guy.
Villainous wrestlers known as heels were instructed to be unpleasant and antagonistic, and above all else, faces and heels were never ever to be seen together in public, as doing so would give way that the rivalry between the two was fabricated, thus exposing the secret reality of the business. The illusion of kayfabe was fiercely maintained even well into the 90s.
Into the 90s? I'm sorry. So press realized this was all bullshit in the 30s. And then we had, depending on what time into the 90s this happened, 50 years. Wait. 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Almost 60 years of bullshit believing it's real. That is such a weird concept to me. Because, like, again, I'm used to the idea, yeah, it's fake and there's just good entertainment. But I don't just... Into the 90s. How? At this point, I'm not even upset. I'm actually curious how they maintain that illusion. I know he's talking about kayfabe and keeping it real, but that is always being on constantly. And I guess not having social media at the time would have made it a lot easier. So always on wasn't literally constantly all the time. It was more just on sometimes. And paparazzi would be the biggest reason to get around that, as opposed to all the time, constantly, forever, because everyone's on social media, everyone has a camera. Okay, that makes a little more sense why it wouldn't work now, but still.
It was what allowed fans to let themselves believe that wrestling was real, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. As a wrestling fan, people were always eager to tell you that it was fake, but it was always easy to dismiss because it always came from people that
painted on
disliked
muscles?
wrestling.
Oh my god.
But then, one fateful night on May 19th, 1996, an incident would occur that would destroy the illusion of wrestling, and it was an incident known as the curtain call.
What?
The curtain call took place right in the center of Madison Square Garden.
They actually called it the curtain call because that's a reference to show business where it's the final shout out to... Was wrestling ending temporarily?
And it involved a group of 4 wrestlers who shared an off-camera friendship and were known backstage as the Clique: Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, and Paul Levesque. This was the last night Hall and Nash would be performing under the banner of WWF, and the following day would be jumping ship to rival company WCW. Michaels and Nash were bitter rivals in WWF's storyline at this point, and in the final match of the night, Michaels was set to defeat Nash in a steel cage match. But what wasn't part of the script was what came after the match's conclusion when the cameras stopped rolling.
Okay, full disclosure here. I thought with the guy laying down that it was going to be like, oh god, he died horribly and they broke the character. Now I'm hoping it's something nice. Please let me actually have it be something nice. I don't think I can deal with something horrible happening by accident.
When Michaels straddled his unconscious opponent and revived him with a Snow White-esque kiss.
What?
Fans looked on, bewildered and stunned, and then, to add to the confusion, Hall and Levesque both came to the ring, and the 4 friends celebrated an emotional farewell. The problem, though, was that this was not part of the WWF canon story.
Were they in legal trouble?
Not only did these 4 wrestlers not have an on-camera friendship, they were meant to actively despise one another, with Hall and Michaels both being beloved faces, and Nash and Levesque loathed heels.
Really? I mean, I'm looking at all these guys and... they both look like the smarmy asshole who should be the heel. Am I the only one seeing it? It's the 80s and the 90s, wasn't it? Yeah, never mind. That is offensively 90s. I'm thinking of it now being something that I see that I'm like, oh no, reject, reject, reject. But I guess in the 90s it'd be like, oh dude, that's so rad. And then I wouldn't actually feel horrible for using the word rad. Unlike now, where I do, and I hate everything about this.
Michaels both being beloved faces, and Nash and Levesque loathed heels.
No, that guy has the current style.
If that was true, then why were they all in the ring hugging and celebrating? Were these guys actually friends?
My god, how dare they be human.
My god. The incident never aired on national television, but it didn't matter. The advancement of home camcorder technology alongside the rise of the internet meant that the footage was captured by fans.
Holy, that is old. Oh god, that's a floppy drive. I don't even remember a PC that only had a floppy drive. they either didn't have anything at all, or they had CD players as far as I knew. Well, I actually had a few that also had floppy drives, I think. Oh, God, it's so long. I barely remember that. Wow. On the other hand, it would have taken them at least a week before the video probably downloaded from wherever they had it, or they probably had to actually share physical floppies of that. Holy. You know, I regret the phrase I just said, and I'm hoping no one ever takes it out of context, because that would be very incriminating. Just gotta share that floppy with your friends. Just stick it in. I'm making it worse, aren't I? Future me, please cut this out.
Fans and free to rampage across the World Wide Web, and the result was that the illusion of kayfabe that professional wrestling had shrouded itself in for so many years was left tattered and
damn,
with wrestling audiences around the world faced with the now undeniable fact that wrestling was fake, and underneath the facade lay a separate reality, a reality that lay just below the surface, tantalizingly out of sight. This is what would lead to the modern era of pro wrestling. To wrestling fans now, the secret that wrestling is scripted is not a secret.
I'm more wondering what a previous wrestling fan would think about some of the over-the-top shit like, knocking out the judge with a punch to the face after a jump. One, really good scripting there for everyone involved to not die, because there's an easy way to break your hand, break your face, fall wrong, accidentally walk into that if you're the judge in the wrong place, and just, considering it hits the nose, who knows? You might even die if you're fucked up enough there. Seriously, breaking the nose into the head, pushing down probably wouldn't do it, but you can always make a mistake. If someone was in a coma, they woke up now and they saw wrestling, they'd be like, oh my God, this is insane. I love it. Yeah, honestly, it's probably worth it. And they might even be okay with it being fake at that point, which is probably the point, huh?
Instead, what we have now is a form of entertainment that exists in two separate realities: the fictional world of kayfabe and the actual real-life business and politics behind it. Which leaves us with the question, if wrestling is fake and that knowledge is widely known, then what then is the appeal of it?
It's a good story, right?
If someone wants to watch a genuine contest of skill and strength, then why not just go watch UFC?
I think I made my previous statements pretty clear. Sometimes people are assholes. More often than not, fights are incredibly short and incredibly expensive if you want to watch it on pay-per-view. I've heard multiple fights. It was like maybe 30 seconds, and you just thought, okay. Those are like, what, 20, 50, 60, sometimes $100 for a pay-per-view of an individual thing that was only live streamed for that one section. And then it's immediately over, and it's like, wow, the ad took longer than that. Are there ads on pay-per-view? I don't know. I've never done that. I don't care about this. But I've seen that happen. So you got to hype it up ahead of time. And it helps if you get people like Jake Paul, who are admittedly more about promoting themselves, so that even if, you have a lot of people who are going to get an unsatisfactory fight, they will pay a lot of money to see anyone punch him in the face, so it becomes profitable. Now, there's also a lot of other business aspects, but, short fights aren't always exactly what you need. So you have to get people who aren't too good, or get people who are really good and not going to get the knockout right away.
And the answer to that lies in the fundamental difference between the two, that this is a competition and this is a
theater?
Story.
Oh.
Wrestling, like so many other forms of fiction, is about telling stories. I want you to look at these clips and forget for a moment that you're watching wrestling. Just try and imagine your own body performing these maneuvers.
Oh, I would die.
Think about the years of training it would take to be able to move like this, and about the...
For example, when he says move like this, check this out. Oh, wow. He comes in, and his head is actually close to it. But you notice how his head's moving out before his leg goes in all the way? He's timing it so it looks like that. He might be getting a little pressure, but he's already moving when it goes through, and then the guy's leg comes forward. Is you see he has his leg coming up and it's going down on his head, and there's contact, but he's pulling in, he's dropping it out, and then his leg goes down into that section. He's holding himself up. So that's just, it's very athletic. I'll give him that in a heartbeat. This is way more than I could ever even comprehend doing successfully.
Be able to move like this, and about the timing and trust you need to have in another person
to know how hard you can hit someone without actually knocking them out.
And ask yourself, what is all that effort for? What is actually being achieved here? And the answer is that they're building a narrative through the suspension of disbelief. The suspension of disbelief is the simultaneous belief in two inconsistent things. Anyone who watches The Matrix believes both that we're watching a fight between Neo and Morpheus, but is aware that we're actually watching Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne perform a choreographed sequence of actions being shot on a film set.
I'm sorry, wait.
And Lawrence Fishburne perform a choreographed sequence of actions being shot on a...
They actually did those movements? This is probably the one time I'm ever going to say this. I didn't know The Matrix was that real. I thought all of this was stunt doubles and just really good makeup. And then there's like probably spliced together. Okay, here's the punch scene. Okay, we have a new cut. We can go to this one. No, this is actually a solid fight they actually choreographed and then held to the choreography of.
Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne perform a choreographed sequence of actions being shot on a film set. And it's...
I actually like this fight better than anything in the third movie. It's a very low bar, but technically this already is a much better fight. Hell, I like it better this way because that's a level of choreography that's absolutely downright impressive to do those moves. Granted, you know, it's fake, and in real fight would not look that way because there's a lot more just immediately grabbing and pinning, but still, goddamn.
It's the filmmaker's job to make it as easy on the audience as possible to suppress that second idea, which is why solid acting, writing, and editing is so important.
I thought more editing was involved.
In any particular one could break the audience's immersion, destroying our investment in the story.
90s, yeah,
but
and this was a 90s
immersion is
film.
also something that's created in very different ways in different forms of art.
Yep.
Take the far simpler medium of rakugo. Rakugo is a minimalist form of Japanese theater involving a single actor kneeling on stage, whose only props are a fan and a piece of cloth. And with this ultra-minimalist setup, they play out entire stories, even embodying multiple characters, using subtle gesturing and posing along with tonal inflection to convey different people.
So it's basically storytelling with extra levels involved. Yeah, that's actually a pretty cool idea.
And so the immersion, the suspension of disbelief is...
I don't even know what he's saying. I know he's talking on a phone. Oh my god, that is actually well done.
Created purely through the physical performance of the actor. A skilled rakugo can make it feel like an actual story with a full cast of characters is playing out in front of us.
It's like they
despite
acted.
the fact we can very clearly
They're
see
actors who I meant to
it's
say, wow.
just one person kneeling on stage. Wrestling works the exact same way. Just like film, just like rakugo, what the performers are ultimately trying to do is make us believe that what we're seeing is real. And not only just in the staged violence, but also by embodying these characters and their emotions.
Huh. So now I'm coming from a more writing-based orientation. I talk about this a lot, I know. But usually not on Super Eyepatch Wolf videos, oddly enough. Whenever I do the 40K versus Star Wars reactions, it's a fan fiction story, and I go all out on the writing techniques he uses because very competent writer. Here, though, he's describing the same thing, the suspension and disbelief. And in writing, that's just how you do it because you know the words on the page are lies. Fiction is not real, but you use lies to encompass a real narrative because, okay, this is how emotions feel. This is how things work if they had existed. It's basically telling the truth through lies, as opposed to nonfiction, which is just lying and hoping people believe it's true. I know what I said, and I'm standing by it. So what he's describing now is literally the exact same thing. It's having people who know this is fake, who see this is fake, who understand this is fake, and just take that thought, they put it in a box, they put it in a box of kittens, and then they let it just have fun on the side because no one actually wants to care about what happens to it. But it'll be nice and comfy and probably having an allergic reaction because kittens will go everywhere. Hopefully not. But if it does, who cares? Kittens. And in the meantime, you're just going, this is fun. So they just went all in on it.
One of the things I love about Kaneko
weird that they hadn't
wielding
prior to the 90s.
former NXT Women's Champion Asuka, is that from the moment she steps out into an arena, everything from her wardrobe to the way she walks to how she plays with the camera embodies this fascinating fictional character, a bizarre, violent person who takes distinct glee in breaking her opponents apart. And because of how good
So basically anyone on Xbox Live. Got it.
Arai is at conveying this character both through her wrestling and the subtlety of her actions, you don't see the actual performance behind it. You just see Asuka, the Empress of Tomorrow.
What?
This is something that all great wrestlers do. The embodiment of a fictional persona, a character. And so all a wrestling match is what happens when two...
See, this is one of the reasons I don't get how in the 90s and prior to that, people didn't think it was fake. And this has to be newer because it's in the widescreen format. Look right here. When you see the hit coming down, they're not actually hitting. It's fast. You can't see it. But it's hitting the ground right here. And you see it pulling up the hair. But she's either hitting her own arm, which is in there, or she's hitting the ground. It just looks really close, so people ignore it. But it's basically sleight of hand at that point. The crazy part is, oh, they're also covering the ear so you can't accidentally box them. Ooh, good take there. Basically, if you pop someone's eardrum, that hurts a lot. So boxing someone's ear, ooh, I shouldn't have done that. Got a little too close for comfort there because I didn't stop in time. As also why I don't do wrestling, because I don't have the self-control to stop on the right place. Where they're already covering over the area so they can do all the crazy motions without damaging someone's head in a way that would cause physical and permanent damage if they fucked it up.
Matches is what happens when two of these fictional characters meet at particular points in their lives.
The Rock with hair,
and
that
the
is so
story
weird.
that unfolds through that. Granted, that might sound a little weighty, so to show this, I'd like to use an example from a match from WrestleMania 8 in the form of Rowdy Roddy Piper versus Bret the Hitman Hart. Piper was the defending Intercontinental Champion, a fan favorite, and the far more experienced of the two, while Hart was the rising new star.
Wow, this has to be in the 70s, right? 70s or 80s with those glasses, the pink jumpsuit, the leather. It's probably 80s. And almost a mullet. Can you imagine some kind of long-haired idiot with glasses just walking? It's like, hey, guys, yeah, yeah. That'd be such a dumbass if they did that. I do think I don't know anyone like that.
Of the company, and just watch the story that plays out between these two characters. From the outset, Piper is consistently out-wrestled by Hart, having each throw and hold countered and turned back on him, to the point that it's obvious that he cannot beat Hart in a technical wrestling match, at which point Piper changes tactics, pretending to show respect to Hart to lower his guard before blindsiding him with a brutal closed fist attack, and begins to decimate his younger opponents with a string of vicious illegal assaults. Until finally, Hart, now bloody and battered, rallies, gaining a read on his opponents once again and countering everything Piper can throw at him. Until finally, Piper, left with no other option, knocks the referee unconscious and grabs hold of the ring bell, and is about...
This is so over the top. I mean, it's funny now, but I'm still thinking, they thought this was real? They thought the guy was actually doing all this, that they would record him knocking out a ref, and that was real? Okay. That's weird, but sure. Maybe this was after the 90s.
Out to use it to put his younger opponent away once and for all. But then there's just this beautiful little moment where Piper just stops and looks at the sea of people surrounding him, and is left awash in a chorus of boos, the fans disgusted by his actions. He used to be the hero in these situations. These used to be his fans. And in this moment of realization, he throws away the bell, and the crowd explodes at this subtle act of redemption. Before finally, Piper is outdone one last time, accepts his defeat with grace, passing both the torch and his title to the newer generation. There is so much to this match. It's basically an entire fallen hero / villain redemption story arc told in 16 minutes without any dialogue, purely conveyed through the physical storytelling of both wrestlers. And I think that's kind of incredible.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to them. That is actually just, even here, the facial expressions are actually really fascinating. I wouldn't care about this. Most things when it comes to sports, I don't care to watch them. I'd rather do them myself, is what I would say, except I also can't do them to save my life. Yeah, I like doing things I'm bad at. It's why I play video games. I suck at them, but, still like them. Yeah, except for fencing. Fencing's awesome. But I'm also that idiot who really got into it, so yeah.
From here, Piper's career would start to fade, and Bret, after years of success, would eventually find himself in a match where the roles were reversed. where now he was the veteran the crowd had turned against as he faced off against the new rising star of the company, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
The thought of Steve Austin being new is weird, because even I know that guy. This had to be in the 80s then, yeah. And that's how they passed the torch with those storylines. Okay.
This is what professional wrestling is, and while it's not always good or even socially acceptable, when it's at its best, it can be exciting to funny to even occasionally genuinely heartbreaking. And the knowledge that these events are scripted for me doesn't take anything away from the emotional impact they have.
It's good acting.
In the same way that knowing Yusuke versus Toguro is just a bunch of cells being photographed in rapid succession doesn't take away from the emotional impact of that.
Also, one, dude, thank you so much for bringing up the best tournament arc ever, where it was always just this guy. It's like, hey, we're going to do a tournament because it amuses me. When it stopped amusing him, fuck everyone else, I'm doing it. It was so freaking good. And then everything else tried to do it, and it just sucked. A lot of the time, it completely sucked. But this one was so freaking awesome. I got the show, man. It's somewhere behind me, and it's so freaking good. I need to rewatch it. Even the final season, which was probably the weakest, had a good wrap-up ending, even if it was abrupt, and it was only literally the last episode that was made it really hold together. But that's just my own thing. I wonder if he did one about Yusuke. That'd be awesome. But, God, he's just pulling in all the good stuff here.
Everything we just talked about, that's all the kayfabe side of wrestling. The fictional performance created by the wrestlers and writing staff. But as we mentioned earlier, there is another side to wrestling. And that's the actual reality behind it.
So I was just given a very direct reminder that recording at yes a.m. in the morning is a bad idea, and I actually need to get to work in the morning. So we're going to cut this one here. Technically, I shut it down like 5 minutes ago, maybe 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. Okay, 15 minutes ago. Okay, recording this late at night was a mistake on my end, and I don't regret it because that was fun. I wanted to do it, and I didn't realize how late it was when I started. And when I did, I kept doing it. This is on me. More importantly, though, I just like this. I'm not a huge wrestling fan, but I've liked a lot of how they had control of what they can do. And I've liked a lot of the things that came out when I started becoming aware of it in the 90s and 2000s. Apparently, I was aware of it after the facade had broken, and it was very openly just fake, but you had fun with it. The idea that people would think it's real, though, that hasn't been touched on yet, but I think it's going to be, because he just started that transition from here's the storyline, here's the really good redemption arcs and all the crazy shit going on, and that one person who had a noose on them going up, and I'm just thinking, that is very easily fucked up. What the hell are they doing? But yeah, we're probably going to go into the real side, which would be either after the mask was broken or before it was removed. And I don't know how that's going to go. Will it be something really cool to see, or are we going to get stories of, hey, people had to really do some fucking terrible things to keep that mask in place? I don't know. But I want to find out, and unlike all the other times I've seen a Super Eyepatch Wolf video and had to stop early, it's not because I am mentally exhausted and literally considering going into that corner behind me and crying. That was every freaking psychic video, man. Oh, dear God, they hurt so much. This is a nice change of pace. For the people who recommended this, thank you. For the people who recommended martial arts because they want to see me cry more, you'll get there. I'll go back to it. It'll happen. Apparently my channel has a type. And it's me suffering through admittedly amazing videos that I still watch anyways. I am not a smart man, and I don't think I've ever been accused of that. But I enjoy what I enjoy, and somehow that's suffering. My own particularly. This revelation aside, I'm just going to repress all of that and do it again tomorrow. So I'll see you guys then. Adios.